What's up, everybody? I am Centrisa, owner and operator of Metamorphosis, and today we are going to be talking about how I ended up falling in love with hair, how I became a cosmetologist, how I ended up in Charlotte, North Carolina, how I opened my business. These are questions that everyone seems to ask their first visit to the salon, so I just figured it was time for me to share my story with you. Okay, let's get started. Okay. Whoop. Okay, so check this out. I fell in love with hair as a young kid. I've always loved hair. And I can remember being in elementary school, and my mom would do my hair every morning for school. My grandmother would press my hair every 2 weeks. And my mom would comb it. Either I would get braids or I would get it put in ponytails. And I had a big box of those old school hair barrettes and the hair baubles and all those things. And I would want to pick out which colors were going to match my outfit for the day. And eventually I started telling my mom, hey, Ma, I want a freestyle. And she's like, girl, what's a freestyle? So to me, I was naming the hairdo in like the 3rd grade. That basically meant I had a ponytail here, 2 ponytails in the back, 1 on each side, and I had a bang. I was never a fan of the 2 pigtails, Pippi Longstocking hair. I still don't like Pippi Longstocking ponytails to this day. Like, I'm just not a fan. And I remember one time my mom did my hair like that for picture day when I was in the 4th grade, and I used to change my hair on the bus. So this particular day, I forgot to change it back after I got home. On the way home, I should say, so she wouldn't know that I changed it. And I took pictures with the little crown that I had did with the bows, because I changed, like, I would either do a bow from here to here, I would cross them, or I would do one over and let one hang. I just hated that 2 ponytail look. Like, it was terrible. And the pictures came back, and I remember she was like, Centrisa, come here. Who did your hair like this? And I was like, huh? That was my answer for everything when I was a kid, and I couldn't think of something to cover. So obviously I got in trouble for changing my hair. But all of that to say, my original fascination with hair, I do believe, comes from my auntie. My aunt is a retired stylist now in Greensboro, North Carolina, and she started doing hair when I was 3. And I only know that because in the last year or 2, me and my mom was talking about it, because I kept saying all the time, Mom, remember that shop Auntie used to work at where, she would park diagonal on the street, and then, she ended up getting her own place. She said, yeah, that was the first salon she worked at. And I was like, what? She said, you remember that? I was like, yeah. I was 3. So I started having memories at 3 years old, but I digress. My aunt worked at that particular place for, I think my mom said, a year. And then she opened up her own spot and she ran her own business up until she retired. It's been about 10 years at this point since she's retired, give or take. I don't really know the exact. I don't think it's been quite 10 years yet, but it's coming up. But yeah, that was my muse. And she would come home to visit from Greensboro to Maple Hill, where I'm from. If you don't know anything about Maple Hill, please Google it, okay? Or if you know somebody and you say, oh, I heard of it, go talk to that person that you know, all right? I'm a very small town, country roots. I am very proud of where I'm from. Back to what I was saying. So my aunt would come home, and the fascination for me was everybody would come to my grandmother's house. It was like, now you see ladies giggling. You see ladies walking around with plastic bags and rollers on. It smells terrible because they're getting jerry curls or they're getting precise relaxers. And me being the kid that I am, very inquisitive, very nosy, quote unquote, I was asking questions. What are you doing to my mom's hair? What are these little things you're putting on her head? Why are you putting a bag on her head? And I mean, she's popping them in and she's popping them out. My auntie is the GOAT, okay? She was doing the thing. And I would watch them sit in the kitchen, get their hair rolled. They would go outside on the porch and giggle and chit chat with each other. And I'm just going back and forth seeing what's going on. She goes to rinse their hair in the bathroom. I'm in the bathroom, almost in the tub while she's trying to rinse their hair out. The same thing when we would go to her salon in Greensboro. Walk around the salon. I would be at the bowl with her while she was shampooing. I was looking at the purses that she was selling. I was reading all of the hair magazines, looking at all the pictures. It was like, oh, this is where the clients sit. Oh, there's a gas station next door. Oh, this is how you bring them in. She had like maybe one other person that worked with her. I was just always fascinated. It looked so cool. And the coolest thing was for me to watch her twirl and click those Marcel irons. And when she finally taught me how to do it, man, you could not tell me nothing, okay? Nothing at all. So I think when I was about 5th grade, 6th grade, I looked at my mom, and this was like 1993, 94. I told my mom, I said, hey, when I grow up, I want to do hair like auntie. You know, I'm a kid. She's like, oh, okay. Psh. And I also told her I wanted my first car to be an escort like my cousin, her daughter. Psh. Oh, okay, St. Teresa. But then I also said I wanted to be a lawyer like my uncle too. And I did consider that briefly in my adult life when I was in college, but that's just not, you know, where my heart is and what my passion is. So fast forward, and now I'm in middle school. You know, she cut my hair for the first time. I was crying because I've always had long hair when I was a kid. And now I want to cut it all the time. And then she was teaching me how to do microwave ponytails. So every time she came home, I got a technique. Like I was literally the kid that got off the bus, would go in my grandmother's house, put my bags down, and be like, Grandma, Mom made an appointment with me for me to get my hair done down the street. I'll be back. I got my money. I get on my bike that I had at her house, ride down the street, come back with finger waves, come back with a French roll, come back with the French roll that went from ear to ear. This boy told me I looked like Baby Bop when I was in middle school with a hairdo, so I never got it again with all of my hair up because I was just embarrassed. But anyway, all that to say is that, you know, I've always loved hair. I've always been fascinated by hair. I've always kept my hair done. I started collecting hair magazines around 95. I believe my mom started letting me buy hair magazines in the store. So every time we went to the store, I had to go see what the latest issue was. And it was either a hair book or a pack of Upper Deck NBA cards, because I was very much into basketball. I still am. I'm just, you know, I prefer old school NBA, what I grew up with versus what the NBA is today. But I digress. So I'll either leave with the hair magazine or the Upper Deck cards or both, or a CD. So that's just kind of how that went. And when I graduated high school, I remember I got accepted to John C. Smith. I did not want to go to John C. Smith, and my dad convinced me to stay home. So I did a semester of community college, regular community college, because in my mind, I wanted to go to an NC State, an A&T, an ECU, one of those type of schools, a Central, something like that. I didn't want to go to Smith for whatever reason. It still doesn't make sense to me why I didn't want to go to Smith, but I just was adamant that I did not want to go there. So I did a semester of standard community college. And then I was like, you know what? Since I'm here, I'm going to just go ahead and go to cosmetology school now. So in 2001, I enrolled in cosmetology school in January. In December, I finished. February 2002, I went to state board, which was at my school. So I purposely snuck all of my supplies into my locker, made sure I was one of the first people there, and ran straight to the station I had been using for 12 months. So I was completely comfortable. Took the state board exam, passed with flying colors, got my license in March, and I started working. I worked in 2 salons at home until I decided to leave for college. I left home in 2005. I went to Boone, North Carolina, but I went to Lees McRae College in Banner Elk. So I did my freshman year there. I was 23 going on 24, so that made me an adult student, which was interesting for me. And that whole experience was interesting. That has nothing to do with my hair journey. I transferred to UNC Charlotte. I moved to Charlotte in 2006. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in sociology, class of 2009, December 2009 to be specific. Niner Nation. And in my time period of being a college student, I worked at Sally Beauty Supply. I worked at Great Clips. And then I was so irritated with the salon experience in general, just with clients. Some people, you know, just didn't treat me well. Just salon experiences in general. And I was not a very confident person at the time in myself and who I was or my abilities as a stylist. So I quit. I was like, I'm in college. I don't need this. I don't need this. I want to own a salon. I don't have to do hair to own a salon. What? Psh, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit. So I refused, this is bananas, I refused to renew my license. I let it lapse. And in my mind, remember I said I went to state board in 2002. So this was probably about 2009, 2008, 2009, maybe. Nope, it was 2007. I let it go. And then I got a letter. Saying they froze my license for me instead of kicking me out of the system. Now, what I thought was going to happen was that they were going to kick me out of the system and they were going to make me go back to state board. And I knew I was never going back to state board to take the state board exam again. I'm just not doing it, period. Okay? So I figured that because there was a guy, who was an older stylist, came in. He looked like he was in his 30s or 40s. He had on a white linen suit. He was complaining about this lady that he was dealing with. I don't remember if it was a girlfriend or a wife, but it was a lady that he was dealing with. He gave her the money to renew his license and she never renewed it. So they told him he had to go back to state board. And I was like, whoa, that's not going to be me. I refused that to be me. I'll quit first. So I thought that's what was going to happen to me. But no, they sent me a letter and said, hey, we're going to freeze your license for you. And whenever you're ready, please go finish your continuing education hours. And once you submit that information, we will reinstate you. And my mom was like, girl, would you please, I will help you pay for these classes because you complain at every job you have. Please go take the hours and go back to the salon. I can't take it anymore. And I was like, okay, so I found 2 classes that were 8 hours back to back. And I took them, I got my hours. And I remember I went to work in a salon here. That didn't last very long. It just didn't last for very long. I'm not even going to get into that. And then I went to Smart Style and worked there for about a little over a year. Yeah, I think I worked there for like a year and a half. I graduated college while I was working at Smart Style. And in my mind, I was just like, dang, is this it? I can't just come to Walmart and do hair every day. I got to have something to work towards. So I was like, I think it's time for me to go to graduate school because, again, part of why I have a degree in psychology is because you as clients like to use us as stylists for free therapy. And it helps me to help you guys, especially if I see something that I've studied before, I kind of point you in a direction, tell you that you may need to go speak to a counselor or, hey, I'm noticing this, pattern, blah, 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 blah. I can give you some sort of encouragement. That's part of why I say it's more than hair, it's a lifestyle. So my goal was back then, and it's still a goal today, is to start a nonprofit organization in conjunction with the salon to help people. Obviously, that's what nonprofits do or are supposed to do. So I am going to leave that part there. And I decided that I wanted to go to grad school, or I wanted to get a job out of state in my degree and still own the salon and the nonprofit. I just didn't want to be in Charlotte anymore. So I paused that time. It wasn't necessarily a full-on quit. It was a pause because I felt like there was no point in me building a clientele to move out of state because it is hard to find a good stylist. And once someone finds a stylist that they love the services, they love their personality, they love how they operate, you guys get attached. You don't want to let go. And I knew it was going to be a situation if I built a rapport with people, and then like 7, 8 months later, I'm like, oh, I'm moving to California. Oh, I'm moving to Texas. It would have been a whole thing. So I stopped doing hair again, and I started working at a call center. I started working at a call center. I worked there for a little over a year also, but I was applying for jobs in my degree in Charlotte. I looked for jobs as far as Connecticut, as far as Florida, as far west as Texas. I had no issue with piecing out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I had no issue with leaving the state, but nothing was panning out. Nothing was panning out the way that I thought it was going to pan out. Like nothing. So the whole time I am working at this call center, at my church, there was this lady that worked at this place called Salon Central. And I had seen it before, but all I would see when I went by was a bunch of white doors. So I thought it was a hair school. And she kept saying, even from when I was working at Smart Style, girl, I do not know why you keep working at all these places. You need to work for yourself. You should come to Salon Central. You should come to Salon Central. You should come to Salon Central. And I'm like, ugh. So I got the phone number way before and spoke with the owner, because someone had told my homegirl the rent was a lot lower than what it was. So when I called and inquired about it, he basically told me you can't keep the lights on with that type of rent, and what the rent actually was. And I was embarrassed, and I was just like, oh my God. And now this lady keeps saying, you should go to Salon Central. You should go to Salon Central. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I can't afford that rate. I don't have clients anymore. All my people are gone except for like one girl, and I was driving to their house to do the daughter's hair. So I wasn't really like trying to do nothing stupid. And eventually she kept harping on it and harping on it, harping on it. And I looked at her and said, if God gives me the money to go, I'll go. And this was after service at church. And she was like, girl, we just had this good word. Don't be playing like that. You know how God moves. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So me and another homegirl, I was taking her home after service. We had a conversation about it. And, I kind of left it alone. And lo and behold, I got an unexpected check in the mail from a school that I had enrolled into that was an online school. And I felt like the school was sketchy, so I dropped. And I didn't know they owed me money. And that is how I ended up at Salon Central. Because I shouted in my kitchen, yes, I got money. And audibly, like I'm talking to you right now, it's time to call Salon Central. And I just kind of dropped my head like a little kid who just lost their favorite toy, or my ice cream fell in the dirt or something. I was just like, man, dang. Okay, so I called the school to make sure the check was mine. It really was. I called and set up an appointment to speak with the owner, walked in, told him my story. He walked me to a room, said, I'll give you this room for this rate. It was discounted. It wasn't as discounted as the rate that I was initially told, but he's just kind of working with me. I nearly lost my space a few times because of the ups and downs of me trying to learn how to be a businesswoman and having no clue of how to be a businesswoman, because all I did was do hair. I wish cosmetology schools would teach you how to operate a business instead of just teaching you how to do hair. But that's a different conversation for a different day. So all of that to say, that is how I ended up in Charlotte. That is how I ended up at Salon Central. That story kind of continues on, but that's not what this is. As you can see, hair has always been a thing for me my entire life. I love it so, so much. I have still pretty much every magazine that I have collected since 1995. I just love hair. So if that sounds like something you want to hear more about, you are welcome to reserve a space for the Metamorphosis experience at met-salon.com. You can shop and purchase salon-grade products and the handmade Metamorphosis beauty oils owned by me at the metsalonstore.com. You can also find out more about me at centrisa.com, and you can also connect with me on Instagram, because I'm on Instagram all the time at iamcentrisa.com. I hope that you have enjoyed this story time. I hope that it has found you well. I hope that you laughed a little bit. I hope that it kind of brightened your day a little bit. I hope that you watched this to the very end. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I am trying to bring you hair beauty content every week. I am trying to give you a little bit of lifestyle every week, even though I haven't done that per se yet. It is coming. So tell your friends, like I said, subscribe, like it, pass it on, all that good information. And I will talk to you guys soon, because it's about time for me to get ready to get out of here and go to work. Okay? Until next time, love, peace, and happiness always. Peace.